Good evening, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. We're here to talk about DC's major comic event for 2022. The first issue is out now. Now, full disclosure, I did not read the Prelude comic that put on Free Comic Book Day. Ironically enough, I was at the comic book store on Free Comic Book Day, but did not pick up the free comic book because I'm a jackass. And that would have been the smart thing to do. Regardless, we're here now. And we're going to, muddy through what we have going on here. So what we're talking about is Dark Crisis number 1. The, I guess, distant sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then there's also, what was it? Final Crisis was the one that took place after it with Earth 3 Lex Luthor, or Alexander Luthor, and then who was the other one? Earth 2 Superman and all of that. That sounds right. But that is, this is after that. Because all the crises kind of happen in continuity, including Flashpoint, Hyper Crisis, Dark Knight's Metal, Dark Knight's Death Metal, Flashpoint, all that good shit. So, this one takes place in a world where the Justice League has all been killed off. Superman is dead, Batman is dead, Wonder Woman's dead, Flash, Green Arrow. All of them are dead, with the exception of Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is still alive. Now, there's this darkness that killed off all of them, and that darkness is coming for this universe. It's going to destroy the multiverse. Or really the Omniverse, because it's already destroyed one multiverse. So it's a dangerous thing, guys, because it's bigger, and they're destroying more multiverses. So get the fuck ready. So this thing is coming for the Omniverse, and it has already taken out one universe, taken out the Justice League with it. The only survivor of said events is what's it called? Black Adam. And Black Adam comes back and says, look, this thing is coming, this thing destroyed this universe, and the Justice League along with it. And then comes the debate over whether or not to trust Black Adam, because Black Adam is Black Adam, and he has tried to kill the Justice League on his own several times over. So why should they believe him? Which is a valid question. Like, this whole situation has some very valid concerns behind it. And I think that that's an interesting approach to take. So what ends up happening is you end up with John Kent, Superman's son, who is taken over as Superman. He is told by Nightwing that, look, we should really step up as the new Justice League. So I don't know who the new Batman is. I didn't catch who the new Batman is. But I think Damian Wayne is Robin. Unless Damian Wayne is Batman, there's a different Robin. And when he asked Batman to join, he's like, no, just ask, what's it called? Ask one of the Robins to be your Batman. I'm not going to do that, because the last time Batman teamed up, he died. Which is, I guess valid, but at the same time, not really. What else was there? There's, and one of the things I've noticed is that it is very much front-runnery when it comes to who is involved in this and who is not, and who's still alive and who is not. Like, I think that had it not been for the Suicide Squad movie, Peacemaker probably would not have been in this comic. Similarly, I think that was Dreamer in the comic, or was Dreamer at the end in a coming attraction for another comic? But again, it's another character that probably wouldn't have been where they are had it not been for that. And I like the idea that all of these villains are coming out of the woodwork to try and take control now that the Justice League has been killed, and there is no Justice League, and the Legion of Doom is kind of getting their footing in this world. I like that idea. I would have been better with, when Batman is chasing around villains earlier in the movie, it's the Trigger Twins, and I'm like, who the fuck gives a shit about the Trigger Twins enough to be able to be like, oh, that's a good villain to put in here. if it weren't for the fact that they appeared in, I would say if it weren't for Elseworlds, I'd be like, no one knows who the fuck these people are. Because, like, they appeared in Elseworlds, and that's who Barry and Oliver end up as in the third Elseworld they create, in the second Elseworld they create, the one with Bizarro Superman, and where John D becomes Superman in the black suit. It's an interesting kind of, it's an interesting choice to do that. It's also an interesting choice to make the comic $7, which is why if this doesn't get listenership, I will not be continuing. I may do a full event coverage after the event has run its course, and I can pick up the full book. But god damn, $7 for a book. I don't care if it is your big event of the year. $7 for a comic book is obscene in terms of price. If I pay $7 for a magazine that's got more than just that, I'd be like, that's a little bit much. But $7 for a fucking comic book, that's a lot of money. And the art's great, and I like where the story's going, and I like the idea they have going here. I just feel like there's a better, that $7 is a lot of money. Also, I feel like the idea that they it's a crisis, so a Flash needs to die. I would say New 52 Wally West would be my bet. Because I feel like that just needs to happen. Not for any particular reason. It's just if one needs to die, I don't think he has died yet. Because, they killed, Wally. They've killed Barry. I think he's the one who got to take it this time. It's his turn. He's Kid Flash. I think Flash's OG Wally is Flash, and then New 52 Wally is Kid Flash. I think he's the one who's got to take the crisis Flash death. Kind of a rule. What else was there to address with this comic? It's a cool idea. And I like a lot of the decisions they have. I like this idea of trying to reform the Justice League after the old one died. And look, if you're really upset about this, if you're really upset about the fact that, oh my god, they killed off all my characters that I like, early next year they'll all be back because they're not going to keep Superman dead. They're not going to, and it's an event. Just ignore it. It's also not a documentary. Like, I'm not reading a textbook from an alternate world, and this is what happened. It's a comic book. It's a work of fiction. So, alright, there's a bunch of other people you don't recognize in familiar roles. It's not necessarily gonna last for a long time unless these characters stick. Look over at Marvel. Marvel did All New, All Different, where they had all different characters in different roles, and a few of them stuck. Miles wasn't All New, All Different. Miles was Ultimate, but Miles is still around because he had popularity. Miss Marvel got her own TV show at this point. Miss Marvel stuck. Ghost Spider, Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy as Spider-Girl, whatever the fuck you want to call that character. I really hate Ghost Spider. I don't know if I've articulated that, but Ghost Spider as a name is really dumb. Especially considering that there's nothing about her that really has anything to do with Ghost, except for the fact that in the main universe, she's dead. So if it weren't for that name doesn't work. But she is, she stuck around after, after, I think Gwenpool had a pretty solid run, too, after All New, All Different. Kate Bishop, that was before All New, All Different, but she stuck around. These characters work. And Falcon as Captain America, too, came out of that. So these things can stick, and if they work, they'll continue, but they'll just exist alongside the characters we've known for almost a century at this point. They're not going to get rid of Bruce Wayne as Batman, because that would mean 80% of DC's lineup would have to go away if they did that. But here we have this cool idea with Dark Crisis, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Maybe not if the ratings on this episode aren't good, I'm not that interested where I'm going to drop $8 a month on a single comic book. But, you know, let's see how this goes, and then from here we'll see what happens. Because that's why I stopped doing Devil's Reign and the Kang the Conqueror limited series. I'm like, well, no one listened to the episode, so why the fuck am I going to keep buying this? It's expensive. And the other thing I was thinking of while I was at work the other day was, you know, comic books, old comic books, because there was a sale happened recently, and I want to say it was Action Comics #1. First appearance of Spider-Man, or first appearance of Batman, Detective Comics number 20-something, sold for like $500,000. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, the difference is in the 40s or the 30s when that came out, that was not something people knew it was going to catch on. They didn't know there'd be all these movies, like 20, 30 years later. Like when the first one came out, there'd be a TV show about it, and it'd become a cultural touchstone. People didn't know that about Spider-Man. People didn't know that about Superman. So those comics, you know, and people didn't take care of them. They're books for kids, you know. Kids will read them, kids will rip them apart, kids will cut out the characters, kids will, you know, do all kinds of crazy shit to those books because they didn't know what the value was. So the number of them in pristine condition is low, therefore the price is going to be higher. Now that comic collecting is kind of mainstream and kind of well known and everyone knows, I think we're not going to have a similar thing where we're going to have comics in the future that are going for millions of dollars. I mean, granted for inflation, but in terms of value to the dollar at the time, I don't think that's likely to happen because so many people are buying the comic with the intent to resell it in the future, not with the intent to, just have it to read and then throw away. It's people are buying them to hold on to, thinking this is going to be some big, there's going to be a movie, there's going to be a TV show, there's going to be something in the future that's going to bring this into vogue, and I'm going to be able to sell this comic for a lot of money. And people are buying them with that in mind. And then between that and the variant covers, that there are 9 million variants and all of that kind of stuff, I don't think the comics are going to really have the level of money going through as a result of that, because the comics making a lot of money is entirely dependent on scarcity. So if everyone's out there and I'm gonna buy this comic, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna bag and board it, it's gonna be secured, it's not gonna be, handled by a million people, it's not gonna be touched by, grimy little kids who are gonna fuck the whole thing up, it's not gonna be sitting, on a shelf, it's gonna be kept somewhere safe where it's not gonna get water damaged, I'm not gonna smoke around it, or better yet, they get it graded as soon as they buy it and they send it out to, CGC or something like that, and it gets, professionally graded and slabbed. It's like, all right, cool, well, you got that graded and slabbed, and all of that, and you have your comic now like that. But the question I have is, who's going to be interested in a comic that there are a million of in that condition? The reason why, the giant-sized X-Men and all of these old comics are going for so much money is because people didn't buy them with that intent as often back then, and certainly didn't get saved with the thought that, oh, this will be worth something. I think that's more of a modern thing. I think that where people thought that way about Beanie Babies in the 90s and all this kind of shit where it's like, this will be valuable someday, so I'll buy it and hold on to it. I don't think it's the same thing with comics anymore because, look, you can buy it, you can hold on to it, it may eventually have some value, but it's not going to be this giant expensive thing that's going to sell for $1.2 million. First of all, you got to get 80 years out from when it came out to get to that value, or 60 years out to get that value, and you need to have a character who has that staying power. I don't think there's been a character introduced who is going to have the staying power of Spider-Man, except, maybe Miss Marvel. But no one else has really been introduced that's going to have that, and there hasn't been a comic series or anything like that has had the iconic art or anything, I would say, since The Dark Knight Rises. like an iconic style or a great writer on it that's going to be like, this is going to be worth something someday. That's the kind of thing that's going to, it's right now, it's keeping the comic book industry afloat. But as we start getting to the age where these comics would have started appreciating in value in the past, and they start not appreciating, that bubble's going to burst. So, mark my words for it. Like, I was in a local game store recently, and they had a, They had some games on sale for $199. And I was like, what the fuck? Who's going to pay $199 for an open copy of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door? And it's just sitting there. And it's like, maybe it is just people who are hoping against hope that someone's going to see that and not think and just be like, oh, okay, well, I'll buy that for that price and move on with their day. But unless that's the case, then it's just not going to happen. So we'll wrap up there for today. I think we've covered a lot of ground on this. Dark Crisis #1 is out. If you want to drop the $7-8 on that comic, by all means. I mean, unless people start listening to this a little bit better, I'm probably not going to do it myself. But yeah, we'll wrap up there for today. So until our next episode, have a great rest of your day.